Part 23. After Rebirth, Boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, Beautiful. Chapter 221. Chapter 221 The Uncrowned King. Mr. Carlos, Mr. Wen, your wine. The waiter brought a tray with expensive red wine that had been sobered. Wen Liming watched the waiter slowly pour red wine into the goblet. Mr. Carlos, there is a game in the afternoon, you have a drink now. Wen Liming couldn't help but said after watching him take a glass of wine, close his eyes and sniff it. It was not that he felt sorry for the bottle of good wine, but he was afraid that he would miss the important thing. Carlos is sitting on a comfortable sofa. He is tall, with long blonde hair pulled back, deep eyebrows, and a carefully trimmed beard around his chin. He looks wild and unruly. Carlos chuckled, took a sip of the wine in the glass, and felt the taste carefully. Not bad. Looking at Wen Liming's hesitant look, he said casually, "Don't worry, this is my habit. I will drink some wine before informal competitions to be in better condition. Urine tests will be conducted in regular competitions, but there is no need for him to worry about small competitions like this." The translator next to him dutifully spoke and translated to Wen Liming. Wen Liming breathed a sigh of relief. "That's good. I'll leave it to you today. Do you want to take a look at the list of players for today's game?" Then Carlos, "Aren't you just a cannon fodder? I'm afraid I won't be able to bear to look at it." Then Lian Yu spoke too fast and lost his mind. "No need, I don't take this kind of competition seriously," Carlos said disdainfully. If Wen Liming hadn't given him so much money, how could he have come all the way to participate in a competition of this level? Price drop. Yunsu knocked directly over. "Can you speak? I don't want to go back to the hospital to take the baby." Yunsu looked at the target in the distance and chuckled. "Who said cannon fodder can't be charming? The outcome is still unknown, so let's go." "Brother Li. Why does it look so deserted with no one around?" Lian Yu muttered. It didn't match his imagination at all. Not to mention the huge crowds of people, at least there must be some audience, right? But there are not many people here. What kind of international competition do you think this is? Yunsu was a little funny. She saw clearly, it's just an internal shooting competition. What they are fighting for is the land. The shooting competition is not that important. Thinking of the income that can be obtained by winning the land, Wen Liming was full of heart, and the heartache of Kalias here can also ignore the heartache here. Then Carlos still comes to participate in this kind of competition. Lian Yu curled his lips. Wen Liming didn't care about the sarcasm in his tone. After all, such a capable person must have a bit of a temper. Anyway, he will win today's game, and no one else can even think about competing with him. Xiaoun is here. Li Ying saw the two of them outside the lounge nearby. After all, if you know yourself and the enemy, you will be victorious in every battle. Jun Wei was standing next to Li Ying, and Yunsu also said hello. "Wei. That's good, I'll pay you the balance immediately after winning the game." Lian Yu immediately fell silent. Only now did he know that the most terrifying creatures in the world are human cubs. They eat randomly and have no scruples. He is scared just looking at them. He followed his grandparents in the hospital to take care of the child for a few days, and his whole body was about to collapse. When he heard that Yunsu was coming to participate in this shooting competition, he had to come with him, life or death. The two of them looked around. It was a large outdoor shooting range. There were many target positions standing in the distance, and some staff were making preparations. "Probably," Yunsu said casually. The address Jun Wei gave her was here. Sister Aunt Jun Wei called out this title helplessly. The last time Ji Sun Kai found out that he called Yunsu by her first name, he was severely criticized. Even his father stood by his teacher. Over there, since he and Yunsu were on their own terms, we still called him uncle. "Give me money, why don't you come, and you should give me a lot." Sister Yun, are you competing here? Lian Yu asked curiously. Hearing this title, several people's expressions twisted for a moment. Yunsu doesn't care anymore, just call if you want. She is used to Ji Sunkai calling her senior sister. Come in and sit down, the game will be held for a while, Li Ying greeted. The four of them entered the room and sat down. Yunsu glanced at the coffee table. It was fine. There was only one teacup. Jun Wei drank warm water this time. Lian Yu poured tea for several people very consciously. How's it going? Are you confident in the competition? Li Ying asked with a smile. He had already figured out whether he could get the piece of land and let it go. Don't put too much pressure on the little girl, just treat it as a fun. It's okay, I'm more confident than I was when I won the prize last time. Last time? Several people were stunned, wasn't it just last time? Sister Yun, what are you talking about? Lian Yu almost spit out another mouthful of tea. You won the Fields Medal last time, the most authoritative mathematics award in the world. Do you think you are more confident in winning this competition than that one? Are you crazy? Li Ying and Jun Wei also looked stunned. Girl, don't talk nonsense, this is different, Li Ying said cheerfully. Although he didn't understand the Fields Medal, it had been spread all over the world some time ago, so he also knew about the news. Mathematics and shooting, one in literature and one in martial arts, can they be the same? We'll find out later if it's a lie. Yunsu took a sip of tea, leaving a fragrant aroma on her lips and teeth. Looking at her confident face, Li Ying inexplicably felt more hopeful. Although the opponent is very strong, what if? When people come, I'll go and greet them, and you can just sit here and rest. It was almost time, and the guests came one after another. Li Ying went out to greet them. In addition to the real estate developers and their contestants who participated in the competition, people from the city also came to see which company was stronger in this competition. Mr. Zhang, you are here. Dr. Wang, long time no see. Director, please come quickly. Li Ying welcomed everyone with a smile on his face. Mr. Wang, you are finally here. I have been looking forward to it for a long time. Li Ying saw Wang Liming, who looked confident of winning, and immediately greeted him with a smile. No matter what the personal relationship was like, this kind of occasion was still acceptable on the surface. Director Li, are you looking forward to me or the competition? Wang Li, who was wearing a suit and had a big belly, asked pointedly. I'm sure everyone is looking forward to it. Li Ying smiled. Who doesn't know that you invited the Gun King to come? Everyone wants to have a look. Ha ha ha, Wang Liming laughed, feeling very relieved. I spent a lot of money to invite people today, everyone will see what the Gun King's game is like. What he meant by this was just to say that today was just an exhibition match for Carlos, and others would not have any sense of participation at all. Li Ying's smile remained unchanged, as if he didn't hear what he meant. Then where is he now? Everyone is waiting. Don't worry, the masters are the last to appear. In fact, Carlos was still sleeping after drinking. Wang Liming's voice was a bit loud, and the three people in the lounge heard it. Lian Yu thought thoughtfully, Sister Yun, are we here early? There is someone who is more pretentious than you, can you tolerate this? Yun Sum frowned. Explain to me, what does it mean to be more pretentious than me? Jun Wei couldn't help laughing. Lian Yu quickly explained, this person is too pretentious, I didn't talk about you. Yunsu rolled her eyes at him and said, don't you quite like him? His eyes lit up when he mentioned it last time. That's not true. Lian Yu curled his lips. In the shooting field, my idol is another person. Oh, isn't that Carlos known as the Gun King? Why is there anything more awesome? My idol is Q. Hearing this name, Jun Wei was stunned for a moment. Yunsu, who? Lian Yu has become accustomed to his sister Yun's lack of knowledge and said with a fascinated look on his face, Q, the most mysterious figure in the shooting world. He has never participated in a formal shooting competition, but he is known as the uncrowned king of the shooting world. 5 years ago, in an informal competition organized by the world's top shooters, Q turned out and defeated everyone in the audience, including Carlos. He participated in 2 more competitions and then disappeared. To this day, no one knows who he is, not even what country he is from. In the past few years, his games are still frequently watched online. There may be many titles for Gun King, but there is only one Q. After Lian Yu's exciting introduction, he suddenly sighed, "I don't know if Q will come out to compete again." So mysterious, Yunsu was also interested. Of course. Jun Wei took a sip of water and said with a smile, "He is from China." Lian Yu was shocked and couldn't believe it. "How do you know?" "I was there when he played his last game." "Then what?" "How did you know?" "Do you know him?" Lian Yu was extremely excited. "I don't know him." Jun Wei shook his head. "He was injured after the game." "What?" Lian Yu was furious. "Who did it?" "There was a contestant who was not convinced after losing the competition, and he must be shown his true colors." The two got into an argument, and the gun went off accidentally, hitting Q on the shoulder blade. Foreign gun control is lax, and they use real guns in private competitions like this. This is so deceiving. What next? Jun Wei recalled, "There were very few people present at the time. I heard Q speak with a Beijing accent. So Q stopped participating in the game because he was injured?" "Probably not." Jun Wei thought, "Q's injury is not serious, so it should not affect the game. By the way, that contestant is today's Gun King." "What? Is it him, Carlos?" Lian Yu was like a bolt from the blue, and then gritted his teeth and said, "I actually spoke to him and praised him last time." "Sister Yun, go ahead. Kill him today." "Yunsu, don't get excited. This Carlos didn't get anything good after the incident. He was suddenly kicked out of the family by his family. Moreover, didn't you realize that he hasn't participated in a regular competition for a long time? He is just trying to maintain his dignity now, otherwise do you think he would come to us to make money based on his previous honor?" Lian Yu suddenly realized that it was no wonder he could be invited. Yunsu is silent, so her opponent today is just someone who can't survive abroad and comes here to make money. She originally thought it was a bit challenging, but she suddenly lost interest. End of this chapter. After Rebirth, Boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, Beautiful. Chapter 222. Chapter 222. 3 rounds of competition. There are many uncertain factors that affect the results of outdoor competitions, among which the weather is the most important. Fortunately, the sky is clear today and there is only a trace of wind. When the wind subsides, the game is ready to begin. In the stands next to the lounge, banners were hung, and the arrangements for a small game were quite decent. This is Li Ying's home court, so he should be the one to host the game. He walked onto the stage and his clear voice reached the stands. "Welcome everyone to take time out of your busy schedule to come to our Flying Eagle shooting gallery today. You are all busy people. I think everyone knows the purpose of this competition. I will make a long story short. Today's competition is divided into 3 games, the first and the second. The 2 games were static targets, with distances of 30 meters and 50 meters respectively. The third game was a moving target. There were a total of 30 contestants on site. The top 10 contestants in the first round, the top 5 in the second round, and the third wheel is the ultimate winner. Li Ying went straight to the topic and quickly explained the rules of the competition. "Lian Yu, this rule is really simple and crude. It's just a gimmick, but how come there are 30 people participating?" Yunsu was a little confused. There were only more than a dozen bosses sitting in the stands, and the signs on the table also indicated which company they represented. "Jun Wei, each family has 2 contestants. Besides you, Fei Ying also has one, who is the most skilled in the gym. Yunsu suddenly realized, she just said, how could Li Ying put all the eggs in the same basket? He quickly made another phone call. She was staying in Li Ying's private lounge. There was a large lounge next to it, which was full of contestants. Everyone was here except for one Carlos. Sister Yun, go for it, Lian Yu immediately cheered her on. All the players gathered at the side of the stage for inspection. Although it is not as strict as the urine test, every part of the body still needs to be checked. Don't rush me, I'm already here. Carlos' lazy voice was full of impatience. Carlos maintained his identity and did not stand with everyone, and everyone did not ask for trouble, so he formed a strange position where he stood alone and others gathered around him. Wen Liming's face turned from gloomy to bright, and he immediately introduced everyone, this is Mr. Carlos Highscock. All contestants, please come here and get ready. It's such a bad game and you're still urging me. Seeing that the atmosphere was a bit awkward, Wen Liming immediately called Li Ying to start the game quickly. Everyone is warming up and adjusting their condition in their own way. Hello. Carlos nodded slightly as a greeting. Because of Q's incident, he now has a very bad impression of Carlos. Yunsu agreed casually. Carlos still just nodded without saying a word. Lian Yu looked at Carlos and curled his lips, it doesn't look good at all. Why is he so awesome? Sister Yun, kill him. He walked into the venue. His tall and muscular figure gave people a sense of oppression, and he looked a bit lazy. He was followed by a translator, and everyone's eyes were focused on him. Yunsu, I'm out. Seeing the arrogance that could not be concealed on his face, everyone frowned slightly, but Director Dong didn't mind and smiled in a friendly manner, the Gun King, right? I have long admired his name. Everyone was waiting for someone, and Wen Liming's face was a little ugly. He had to be careful when dealing with Chiao. He looked at the director's face, fearing that he would be dissatisfied with Carlos. Then, Yunsu's appearance broke the tranquility. Someone asked, who are you? Yunsu, isn't this the place where contestants prepare? His eyes widened, are you participating? Everyone was silent. Is this also a contestant? Which family does this little girl belong to? You really don't take this game seriously. Carlos also glanced at Yunsu and sneered in his heart. It was indeed a low-level competition with all kinds of players. He looked at the target position in the distance boredly, not taking Yunsu seriously at all, or in other words, he didn't take everyone at the scene seriously, and just wanted to end the game quickly. 30 contestants, 30 lanes have been drawn, facing 30 targets. Everyone stood in order according to the numbers drawn. Yunsu was number 13, and in the middle position, coincidentally, she next to him is Carlos. Getting closer, Carlos could clearly see Yunsu's appearance, and a dark color flashed in his eyes. Beautiful ladies usually don't play this kind of sport. You are special, girl. His voice was low and magnetic. Yunsu played with the gun in his hand and asked without raising his head, what's so special? The pure English pronunciation made Carlos's eyes even more interesting. Shooting is a dangerous sport. Be careful of hurting you. A girl like you should learn to paint and play the piano. Yunsu chuckled lightly and did not respond. Carlos wanted to say something else, but the referee had already started to prepare everyone. All the players raised their hands and aimed at the target in front of them. Carlos caught a glimpse of Yunsu's shooting posture from the corner of his eye. When he saw her, he raised his arm casually, and he didn't care at all. In the stands, everyone was also paying attention to the track. Some people asked in shock, why is there a little girl? What? Mr. Zhang looks down on the little girl, Li Ying said with a faint smile. Is this from your side? Certainly. The man named Mr. Zhang shook his head, I think you don't want that land anymore. He actually found a random little girl to fool him. The people around him also showed disapproving smiles. It seemed that they had lost a competitor. Li Ying's expression did not change. Let's wait and see. The referee stood aside and said, "Get ready." Everyone looked stern and started. Bang, a gunshot sounded, and 30 contestants shot together. Logically speaking, each contestant should take turns to shoot, but due to time constraints, they shot together. This is also a consideration of each contestant's mentality. Yunsu raised and lowered his hands, crackling like firecrackers, and quickly finished 10 shots. She was the quickest to put down her hands. Others would readjust the angle after every shot they fired, but she didn't. She finished the shot extremely casually. Carlos next to her watched her put down the gun, and felt even more contempt in his heart. It was good if this kind of shooting could hit the target. His speed is also very fast, and it is easy for him to shoot 10 shots at this distance, with almost no effort. "Okay, the shooting is over, please report the target," the referee shouted. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After Rebirth, Boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, beautiful. Chapter 223. Chapter 223, another full circle. Chapter 223. The outdoor shooting range is relatively open, and the sound of the electronic target reporting device is small, so the staff checks the targets one by one and reports them one by one. No. 1, 90 rings, number 2, 91 rings, number 3, 88 rings, number 4, 95 rings. As the staff reported the targets one by one, everyone in the stands had different expressions. No. 12, 90 rings, number 13, 100 rings, number 14, 100 rings, number 15, 96 rings. As soon as the 200 rings were announced, everyone stood up to see who number 13 and number 14 were. The smile on Li Ying's face slowly widened. Isn't that the little girl invited by Director Li? She is actually full of rings, how is that possible? Old God, Li Ying is here, don't be so surprised, Carlos is not even 100 rings. Number 14 is Carlos next to Yunsu. It was expected, it's just Sister Yun's normal operation. Li Yu waved his hand, he would no longer make a fuss easily. Bang bang bang, a series of gunshots resounded throughout the shooting range. Jun Wei smiled, the results are good. It's true that people can't be judged by their appearance. Carlos walked up to her, squinted his eyes and said with interest, "Girl, you are so unexpected. I admit, you surprised me. I look forward to your performance in the next game." Everyone. Who is Carlos? Are these two Gun King level figures comparable? 50 meters away, people can't see the number of rings at all. Shooting basically relies on feeling and experience. The girl has a delicate and fair side face, her long eyelashes are slightly trembling, and she is concentrating on playing with her mobile phone. Her slender fingers do not look like she is a master of playing with guns. There was silence in the lounge, and everyone looked at Yunsu, who was playing with his mobile phone nonchalantly, covertly. What did he say? Someone whispered next to him. The remaining 10 people stood ready, raising their guns and aiming seriously. Many people in the shooting community know about Carlos's bad past, so even though he has good skills, few people come up to talk to him. It's hard to tell, but he obviously wants to seduce a young girl, who looks like she's not even an adult at first sight. He's so capable of doing this, shameless, someone said indignantly. Wang Liming's originally confident expression turned solemn. The second 50-meter static target, there are still 10 people. Li Ying laughed, of course. At the end of the first round, only 3 of the 30 contestants had full marks. Those who were out of the game had already relaxed and treated themselves as if they were just watching a shooting competition. Yunsu's movements are still casual and her posture is lazy, but this time, no one will think that she is here to make up for the numbers. Carlos was not angry either. He raised the corners of his lips and showed an evil smile. Director Dong, who was sitting in the middle, said with a smile, "This little girl really has two skills." Director Lee, you read the right person. Yunsu didn't even raise his head, as if he hadn't heard anything. Number 7, 90 rings, number 10, 92 rings, number 12, 94 rings, number 13, 100 rings, number 14, 99 rings, number 21, 97 ring. The results of the 10 people have been reported, and the whole place was silent. Only one full ring. After a while, someone said with a trembling voice. Number 13, full ring, number 13 again, and that little girl again. How can this be? Gun King Carlos only has 99 rings. How could she have full rings? Carlos' face was ashen. Obviously, this result was beyond his expectation. He was not a full ring. He actually lost to a girl he couldn't stand. Her shooting posture was so casual and careless that he wondered if she was shooting randomly. How could such a shooting technique be perfect? In the stands, Wen Liming's expression had changed several times. His eyes were gloomy as he looked at the backs of Yunsu and Carlos. He did not believe that the people he had spent a lot of money to invite could not compare with this yellow-haired girl. How could a girl of this age have such good marksmanship? He looked at Li Ying, who was smiling, and his eyes became darker. This girl was invited by Li Ying, and this is his territory? He didn't believe there was anything fishy about it. I have objections to this result, Carlos said loudly. Everyone looked at each other, wondering what he was going to do. Yunsu finally opened his eyes and looked at him. After looking at him twice, he suddenly chuckled, "Why, you can't afford it?" "What did you say?" Carlos' face became even more ugly. "The so-called Gun King is such a person who can't be played with. I've seen it before." Yunsu's expression was indifferent, but every word he said pierced his heart. Upon seeing this, Wen Liming immediately said, "Director Li, you see, no one really believes in this result. How about checking the target?" Li Ying looked at him. Where did everyone come from? Wasn't he the only one who said it? Wen Liming looked towards the audience. One person received his look and immediately shouted, "I don't believe it either." This man was also the gunman invited by Wen Liming. As soon as he spoke, the other contestants around him looked at him with a strange look. How can they not know if that little girl has real abilities? The face of the board of directors, who was still watching with great interest, also turned pale. He said, "Let's take a look. It's okay if some people have objections. The competition must be fair and open." "Damn it, this just can't afford it." Lian Yu gritted his teeth. "How about the Gun King? He deserves it too." "What's there to be angry about?" Jun Wei looked a little funny at how angry he was. He was a young man after all, and his temper was explosive. He was the one who brought it upon himself anyway. That's true. Lian Yu felt much more comfortable this way. "Okay." Li Ying waved his hand, "Go and see the target." "Yes." Who was around? He immediately walked to target position number 13, took off the target paper and brought it over. "Director, come on, there is only one bullet hole in it." "One bullet hole?" Wen Liming seemed to have caught the clue and said immediately, "There is only one bullet hole. How can it be possible to make a full bullet hole? She really cheated." Li Ying said nothing, looking at Carlos with a half smile. "Mr. Carlos, come and take a look." Carlos took the target paper and didn't even need to look at it anymore. He already knew the result. There was only one bullet hole on the round target paper, right in the middle. He had been shooting for so many years, so of course he knew what it was like. A piece of target paper has only one bullet hole but full of rings, so there is only one possibility. That means 10 shots and 10 bullets were all shot into the same bullet hole. His expression was stiff, almost frozen. He had never seen this kind of shooting before, but how could it appear in a competition in such a small place? Or did it come from a girl? Carlos couldn't help but a figure appeared in his mind. The mysterious and powerful man actually overlapped with the petite and weak girl in front of him. He closed his eyes and said, "There is no problem with the result." Wang Liming looked over in disbelief. "What did you say? How could there be no problem?" "I said, there is no problem with this result, she is full circle." Carlos knew that denying her shooting performance was more serious than admitting that he lost to her. The latter was just a matter of winning or losing the game, while the former was denying knowledge about shooting. Moreover, almost all the gunmen here know what is going on, and it is useless even if he denies it. "Don't worry, I will win the third game." After calming down, Carlos said expressionlessly. It's best Wang Liming no longer had the initial good attitude towards him. Carlos looked at Yunsu with a serious expression. "I won't lose to you again." There is no way he could lose to an unknown girl. End of this chapter. After Rebirth, boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, beautiful. Chapter 224. Chapter 224, Victory in 3 rounds. The third round of the competition was a moving target. The staff of the shooting range replaced the target position with a large turntable composed of a circular target. Once the machine was operated, the turntable started to move, and the circular target also began to rotate, and the speed of rotation was it also does not rotate at a uniform speed, which greatly increases the difficulty of shooting. The last 5 people looked at the moving target opposite with solemn expressions. It was very easy to miss this kind of target, let alone achieve such good results as 80 or 90 rings. "This is too difficult." Lian Yu widened his eyes and clicked his tongue, but judging from Sister Yun's expression, there should be no problem. "Junwei, do you believe her so much?" Lian Yu snorted. "You don't believe your sister-in-law. Junwei. Which pot should not be opened and lifted, right?" Carlos stared at the rotating target in front of him, his eyes slightly narrowed. He didn't believe she could still achieve such good results at such a target position. Yunsumo was stroking his gun, with no emotion on his face. "Ready," the referee gave the order. Bang. This time everyone pulled the trigger much slower than the previous 2 rounds, and everyone was looking for the best timing and angle with great concentration. Bang 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 bang. "Sister Yun, you are awesome," Lian Yu came out and cheered. Carlos looked at Yunsu's back and was about to call her out when the director on the stage came down and looked at Yunsu with a smile on his face. Yunsu paused as he walked to the lounge. "Just because you don't have it, it doesn't mean that others don't have it. Number 4, 83 rings, number 13, 100 rings, number 14, 95 rings, number 21, 87 rings, number 27, 90 rings." Target report. The person stuttered in the middle of his voice, obviously also shocked by the 100 rings. "Bring the target paper," Li Ying shouted directly without anyone saying anything. Although Lian Yu's grades were not very good, his English was still very good because of his family's upbringing. Carlos naturally understood what he said. The smile on Li Ying's face grew bigger and bigger. It was indeed right to ask Yunsu to compete, and it actually brought him such a big surprise. But no matter how unwilling he was, the result was already obvious. "Yunsu, do you know me?" Others also sighed in their hearts. They did not expect that the final winner would be Li Ying. The Flying Eagle Shooting Gallery is indeed the oldest shooting gallery in Lanjing, with many talented people. People in the stands could not sit still and stood up to look around. Wang Liming was the most excited. He shouted loudly, "Report the target quickly." He anxiously said everything Li Ying should say. "How is it possible? How is it possible that she is still full of rings?" Wang Liming yelled. He stared at Lian Yu fiercely. "Kid, what did you say? Is there anyone in Lanjing who doesn't know you now?" You are the pride of our Lanchinge. There is a Fields Medal winner in Lanchinge, how could they not know? You've given me the award. Yunsu looked calm. Classmate Yunsu, you are really good at both civil and military skills. A series of gunshots made people's heads dazed, and the hands of several gunmen shaking slightly. There is a round hole in the center of the 10 target papers, full of rings, indisputable. Wen Liming was speechless. The gun king he spent so much money to hire could not compare to a yellow-haired girl. How could he be willing to do this? Seeing Carlos' obviously unkind eyes, Lian Yu stared at him warily. What are you looking at? This is not in country. What, is it possible that you have to hold on every time you lose a game, he also thought. Talking about Carlos hurting Q, he naturally spoke in a bad tone. Carlos stared at the gun in his hand, unable to maintain his composure anymore. He actually lost such a small game. Feeling Wen Liming's questioning look, Carlos looked at Yunsu and asked, how could you have such shooting skills? Carlos's blue eyes widened to the extreme. Is this girl crazy? How dare she shoot at such a moving target? He tried to calm down and not let himself be affected by her. As a Chinese saying goes, the one who laughs at the end is the winner, and he will definitely be the winner. I don't know how long it took, but after the last shot of the last person was fired, everyone finally felt relieved for a moment with their throats raised. What does it mean to hold on every time you lose a game? What does he know? I know it in my heart. Lian Yu didn't want to waste any more words with him. Wen Liming, who originally wanted to make a fuss, changed his face when he heard Director Dong's happy and appreciative tone. What did Director Dong mean? How could he say something as heavyweight and complimentary as Lanchinge's pride? He tried hard to recall the name Yunsu, and something suddenly occurred to him. His small eyes narrowed to the size of sesame seeds. Looking at Carlos and wanting to say something, he immediately shouted, Carlos. Carlos frowned, expressing doubt. Wen Liming stood behind the director, shaking his head wildly. Ancestor, please stop saying anything. What kind of yellow-haired girl is this? If she offends them, they will have to walk around without food. The person who gave the money was the uncle. Carlos hesitated but said nothing. Okay, let us congratulate Director Li for winning the priority bidding right for Land No. 049. Seeing that no one had any objections, the board of directors made the final decision. Li Ying beamed with joy. Thank you, Director. I still have a meeting, so I'll leave first. The director said hello and left first. Others look at each other and let's go. The outcome has been decided anyway, so there is no point in waiting any longer. Wen was filled with anger but didn't dare to let out another fart, so he left with an ugly look on his face. As soon as he walked out of the Flying Eagle shooting gallery, Wen Liming said to the translator, tell him that the balance is gone and return the deposit to me. After so much effort, it was all in vain. Wen Liming was angry when he looked at Carlos. What kind of gun king can't even compare to a little girl? The translation faithfully conveys Wen Liming's words. Impossible, Carlos refused. There was no way he could spit out the money that was in his mouth. Impossible, Wen Liming sneered, don't forget that we have signed a contract. You lost the game and still want to get money. How can it be such a good thing? Carlos clenched his hands into fists and his chest rose and fell sharply. Even though he had plummeted in recent years, people around him did not dare to act arrogantly in front of him, let alone be insulted like this. His eyes were scary, but Wen Liming was not intimidated by him. Return the deposit to me, and I won't hold you accountable for the rest. He spent a lot of money on food and accommodation during his 2 days here, so he didn't need to worry about it. Seeing what he wanted to refute, Wen Liming said first, don't forget, this is the country of China. You need to think carefully about what you want to do. There was a warning in Wen Liming's tone. He couldn't afford to offend Yunsu. He couldn't deal with this guy who came to the country to make money, couldn't he? Carlos' thoughts went through several rounds, and the thoughts in his heart were suppressed. This is the country of China, and strong dragons cannot suppress local snakes. He can bear this tone. I will refund 2/3 to you, and the rest will be my hard-earned money. Okay, Wang Liming didn't want to mess with him anymore, so he readily agreed, and the money would be used as a beggar. Here the two of them were fighting to the limit, but the Yunsu and the others over there were in a happy scene. Jun Wei smiled brightly, congratulations. Xiaoun, thanks to you today. I didn't even think that you could really beat that. Carlos Li Ying was so happy that he didn't know what to do. Your hands are so beautiful. If you weren't afraid of delays, I want to invite you to be the face of our shooting studio. You will definitely be the treasure of our shooting studio. The treasure of the town hall? Yunsu couldn't laugh or cry when he heard this. What about what you promised me before? Yunsu said tentatively. Don't worry, I will keep my promise. As long as I win that piece of land, you will definitely have your share. Li Ying was very happy. Originally, Yunsu had won this priority bidding right, so what else could he not agree to? With this priority right to bid, the probability of successfully winning the land is more than half. Yunsu nodded with a smile, then I'll rest assured and wait for your good news. But what do you want to develop on that piece of land? Li Ying asked curiously. It can't be that you want to invest in my shooting gallery, right? Of course he knew that this was unlikely. This. Yunsu smiled mysteriously. I can't tell you yet. Oh? So mysterious. Originally it was just a casual question, but seeing Yunsu like this, Li Ying actually became a little interested. The main reason is that our company is still developing products and it is not convenient to disclose them now, please understand. Understand. But Yunsu calculated the time, it should be soon. Then I'll wait and see. Wait, Lian Yu suddenly said, what company, Sister Yun? Why don't I know? The company I run. Oh, yes, you don't know. Yunsu slapped her head. She didn't deliberately mention it in front of Lian Yu and the others. Lian Yu said aggrievedly, you started a company and you didn't tell me. So what if I tell you? Yunsu gave him a blank look. Can you help me in any way? Who are you looking down on? Why can't I help? Lian Yu refused. Okay, I'll take you to see it another day. That's pretty much it. Lian Yu was satisfied. Brother Li, yeah, let's go first. Good. Looking at the two people leaving, Li Ying suddenly thought of something and said to Jun Wei, you call me Sister Xiaoun, and Xiaoun calls me brother, so what should you call me? Jun Wei rolled his eyes gracefully. Why are you joining in the fun? We all have our own things to do. Ha 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 ha. End of this chapter. After Rebirth, boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, beautiful. Chapter 225. Chapter 225 Hacker Alliance. At night, after Yunsu finished washing, he told Qin Jiao about today's game. Qin Jiao joked, his marksmanship is so good, let's compete next time. Okay, Yunsu agreed, and then said casually, I heard something today. The uncrowned king of the shooting world who has been popularized by science. The uncrowned king. A mysterious master named Q. Qin Jiao paused while signing the document. Q. Yes, the big shot Lian Yu admires most. I also heard some gossip that this Q had a conflict with a guy named Carlos in today's game, some messy things, Yunsu said casually, like a casual chat. Carlos. A dark light flashed in Qin Jiao's eyes. He hadn't heard this name for a long time. Although it is in the suburbs, it is not remote, the crowds are dense, and there are built-in traffic such as racecourses and shooting galleries. Yunsu is very confident. On the day of the swearing-in ceremony, the sun was very bright and the breeze was gentle. Everything seemed to be just right. The entire senior high school students were neatly dressed and looked at the people on the stage with excitement. Yes, facing Qin Xiao, Yunsu naturally had nothing to hide. What is a cultural and sports base? Isn't cultural, sports and entertainment better? The market over there is huge. Although in his bid design, the land was allocated to the expansion of the shooting gallery, leaving a small space for Yunsu was not a big problem. After the matter was settled, the two signed a contract. After it was completed, Yunsu put the matter on hold. After all, it was still too early to make plans there. Within a few days, good news came from Li Ying. He successfully obtained the land. Yunsu asked Li Ying to leave a place for her, and Li Ying agreed. It is now the end of February, and the date of the college entrance examination in June is getting closer and closer. On campus and among teachers, the slogans to help people with the exam are irritating. The classroom area of the third year of high school is like an uninhabited restricted area, even the wind and wind none of them can flow, there are only rows and rows of dark heads lowered, working hard towards the goal in their hearts. You said before that you were planning to build a game base in the western suburbs, Qin Jiao asked. No wonder Yunsu went to participate in the shooting competition. And the land was so big that it was difficult for him to eat it alone. Qin Jiao doesn't understand games, but he knows how crazy the word holographic can make people. As soon as Yunchen's game comes out, countless people in Yunsu's game base will pounce on it like crazy. The speech of the student representative at the swearing-in ceremony undoubtedly fell on Yunsu, and she agreed without much thought. This idea is indeed feasible. Qin Jiao nodded, with appreciation in his eyes. The aroma of wine is not afraid of the depth of the alley, let alone such good wine. You must know that Yun Shen's last speech was on the podium of the Fields Medal. I can't afford to lose. What I care about now is whether Li Ying can win that piece of land. Don't let me waste my time competing. As soon as she said her first words, everyone clapped with excitement. The first and second grade students looked over from the teaching building and said with envy, "It's great to hear Yun Shen's speech. It would have been better if I had graduated earlier." Well, let's put this aside for now. There's no rush. Yunsu was not in a hurry either. Well, it's quite annoying. Qin Jiao chuckled. You haven't seen Li Yu like that. You are so disgusted with him, Yunsu said with a smile. Although number 1 middle school attaches great importance to students' performance, it also understands the principle of relaxation and restraint. With the college entrance examination approaching, the school decided to hold a 100-day swearing-in ceremony to encourage students and give them a breather. Hello everyone, my name is Yunsu. Yunsu also put on her school uniform for the first time in a long time. The breeze blew by, and the girl's white clothes were lifted up, revealing a rare smile as warm as spring. Can't we hear this too? Although the students in the first and second grades of high school were in the classroom, the teachers in each class fell silent in a tacit understanding. It was such a rare opportunity for everyone to listen together. I am standing here today. I just want to talk to you as an ordinary student of number 1 middle school. Yunsu did not prepare a manuscript. She spoke to everyone as a friend, which seemed extremely relaxed. Looking at the faces and eyes in the audience, Yunsu continued, I don't want to talk about grades, and I don't want to talk to you about topics like which university to get into. The principal will talk to you about those heavy things later. I want to be a good person. Yunsu winked mischievously, and there was a burst of laughter from the audience. I just want to talk to you about one topic, love. What is love? I once asked myself, what do I love? I couldn't find the answer before, but now I can answer this question without thinking. I love mathematics, scientific research, and my life, whether it brings me joy or pain, or even the rain yesterday or the gust of wind that just blew, these are all part of my life. Last time, I told everyone that life is short, why not give it a try, and now I will still tell everyone, do what you want to do, even if it may not be something that most people understand, but so what? You are the one who as a teenager, you can be whoever you want to be. The college entrance examination is important, but not that important. It can determine some things in your life, but it will not determine your entire life. If the college entrance examination is the dawn, then maybe now is the eve of dawn, the end of the night, the dissolution of the high-hanging moon, the title page of all time. You can decide what your own dawn will be like, maybe colorful, maybe everything is up to you. Regrets, frustrations, and reluctance may be the normal state of life, but who knows for sure what will happen at the next turn. There is no sorrow in life, there are dreams and dawns, to be injured gloriously and to heal yourself bravely. I am willing to. I look forward to my life in this way, and I hope you will too. I sincerely wish you all to keep loving each other and go for life. Even if we are far away and we are difficult to see each other, I hope everyone will be well and everything will be successful. Thank you everyone. Yunsu bowed deeply. On the playground and in the classroom, the girl's voice for please for Ling spread. After a long period of silence, overwhelming applause broke out. The teachers, who had always been serious, also had red eyes. It was really a blessing to have a student like Yunsu in number 1 middle school. There is nothing to be busy with at the research institute. Yunsu has nothing else to disturb him and devotes himself wholeheartedly to Yun Cheng. The Great Wall is only a few steps away. The holographic game can be said to be her first gift to the world. She must be very cautious. In a sense, she is also a perfectionist. Everything was progressing in an orderly manner, but this day Yuncheng had a few uninvited guests. What did you say? Hacker Alliance, Yunsu almost thought he heard wrong. What kind of messy organization is this? Zhou Chan nodded. She also felt that the name was too middle of the road. It really didn't look like something a normal person could pick out. This wasn't a movie or a hacker league. When did it happen? Yunsu pressed his swollen head. After you left the company yesterday, about half an hour later, 3 people claiming to be from the Hacker Alliance came to you. After knowing that you were not around, they left a message saying that they would wait for you at the cafe opposite this afternoon, and that you must know them. She really doesn't know, Yun Sum thought with a sullen face. Go and call Wu Ying and Hang Lu over. In the company, she always calls them by their real names, not their code names. After all, with their status in the hacker community, it is not appropriate for too many people to know. Only the technical department in the entire company knows their identities. That bunch of people. Okay. After a while, the two of them entered Yunsu's office. Hong Ai always spoke little and only expressed inquiries with his eyes, but Wu Ying hurriedly said, "What's the matter? I haven't finished my work yet." He is immersed in the world of the game and is almost going crazy. Let's talk about the Hacker Alliance for a moment. Yunsu didn't think about it at all. It must have something to do with the two of them. Hackers Alliance, Wu Ying's originally absent-minded expression was stunned. Have they come? Yunsu raised an eyebrow and asked, "What do you think?" Hong Ai frowned, looked at Wu Ying and said, "You didn't explain it at the time, okay. Why are there still people looking for me? What do you want to tell me?" Wu Ying's mind was filled with games and he couldn't react for a moment. "It's over," Wu Ying slapped his thigh suddenly. "I forgot." He said with a grimace, "I was so excited when I stayed that I forgot about them, and I didn't seem to have any contact with them afterwards." At that time, he jumped in with all his heart. Where could he think of those people? Yunsu held her forehead, and she knew that these two people were both technology enthusiasts. Once they became interested in something, they couldn't care about anything else. Hong Ai, the Hacker Alliance is an organization we established before. We all take on tasks together, and there is nothing else. Yunsu thought of the number Wu Ying called when he came to see Hong Ai. He thought it was the number ordering in the Hacker Alliance. They're coming to your door now. You guys have to deal with them. At 6:30 in the afternoon, we'll go to the coffee shop opposite. Okay, Hong Ai nodded. This is indeed their problem and must be dealt with. Forget it, I'll go with you. Yunsu thought for a while. Since they all asked her by name, she seemed really sorry for others to come all the way away if she didn't go. Okay, Hong Ai thought for a while and nodded in agreement. I don't know who is coming. I hope they don't come here to cause trouble, otherwise he won't be able to save them even if they want to die. Then I'll go back first. Wu Ying didn't pay much attention to it, and was still thinking about unfinished things. Let's go, Yunsu waved his hand. After the two of them went out, Yunsu thought for a moment, turned on the computer and entered a website address. After a long while, Yunsu touched his chin, with a smile on his lips. This hacker alliance is really interesting. It doesn't hurt to go and meet. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After Rebirth, Boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, beautiful. Chapter 226. Chapter 226 Joining the Alliance. Suan Wu, do you think she will come? At the coffee shop opposite Yunchinj, three unremarkable men looked around. The man named Suan Wu looked at the time. It was already past 6 o'clock. They didn't even see the shadow of the person they were waiting for, although, they didn't know what the person they were waiting for looked like. There's no rush, wait a little longer, it's not time yet. I don't believe she dares to let go of our hacker alliance. Heian stirred the coffee with a spoon and sneered. But, we made an appointment with her unilaterally, Ti Jiao said hesitantly. No one would believe that these three people are members of the internationally feared hacker alliance. The hour hand points to 6:30. The three of them are all full of coffee, and the person waiting has not come yet. Hey, look, are the two people who came out. Wu Ying and Hong Ai, Tik said, pointing out the window. It seems like they are indeed here. Anger appeared on Heiyan's face. You said it doesn't count. Heiyan snorted coldly, let her come to see us. She won't come in. Just stop thinking about it. Hong Ai knew the answer without asking Yunsu what he thought. They finally found out the whereabouts of Hong Yi and Wu Ying, so they concluded that Su must be here. Apart from this reason, they didn't know what other reason could make Hong Yi and Wu Ying stay here willingly. Now it seems, they guessed correctly. I'm sorry, Hong Ai said in a deep voice, it was indeed something they did wrong. Wu Ying glared, go back. Go back to what? It was just the last step. How could he go back now? It's been a long time no see. Heiyan folded his hands and looked at the two of them with an unkind expression. You want to see Su? Hong Ai frowned. He thought the three of them were just here to see him and Wu Ying. Wu Ying's face was stern, and he knew that he was in the wrong. He still came out to look for the man in red, but he was also taken in and there was no news. No, what kind of magic is there in this place? What makes you two so obsessed with it? Titmouse didn't understand either. Hong Ai asked, no new member has joined the alliance for 5 years, so why would Qinji invite her? Heiyan said coldly, we will calculate these after we go back. I won't argue with you now. Yes, Qinji wants to invite her to join the alliance, Suan Wu said bluntly, and he did not hide the purpose of his trip. What do you want from us? Wu Ying was a little impatient and was still thinking about the work at hand. He was taken down by Hong Yi before he finished it. Wu Ying and Hong Ai looked at each other and remained silent. The matter was so important that they couldn't reveal anything about it. How could Qinji let such a master with terrifying and mysterious strength be outside the alliance? Heiyan asked rhetorically. I can't leave either, Hong Yi also said. Suan Wu looked at the faces of the two people and was not angry. He said gently, why are you here? The person we made an appointment with is Su. What are you talking about? Heiyan slapped the table and said angrily, you two disappeared one after another, and you couldn't contact anyone, leaving a lot of mess for us to help clean up. Do you know how much we lost? You said we what's up? Don't be impulsive later and speak calmly, Suinwoo warned the two of them. Hong Ai and Wu Ying also saw the three of them and walked straight over. Qianji is the boss of the International Hacker Alliance. He single-handedly established the Hacker Alliance. The entire alliance has only had 7 members in more than 10 years since its establishment. Now there are 5 people sitting here. It is so possible for so many people to come together. Please Su, you can imagine the importance Kinji attaches to it. Suinwoo frowned, dissatisfied with Heiyan's attitude. We are here to invite people, so please have a better attitude. Heiyan curled his lips. He didn't know why Kinji was so obsessed with that Su. He said that someone who hides his head and tail is definitely not a good thing. He has forgotten that in the eyes of outsiders, the Hacker Alliance is also a group of mysterious figures who hide their heads and show their tails. She really won't join the alliance, Wu Ying said seriously. She is too busy and has no time to do other messy things. What does it mean to be a mess? Heiyan couldn't bear it. Are you all bribed by her or brainwashed? Have you forgotten which end you are on? Wu Ying thought for a moment and said seriously, for now, we are hers. You. It's so lively. What are you talking about? A clear female voice sounded. It was Yunsu, who had just come downstairs from her work. She walked directly to Hong Yi and sat down. They want to invite you to join the Hacker Alliance, Hong Ai said directly. He knew that since Yunsu came to meet a few people, he would not hide his identity. We invited Su, not her. What are you talking about? Heiyan said subconsciously. Suinwoo looked directly at the girl in front of him. The girl was beautiful and her eyes were lively. She was smiling, but the smile didn't reach her eyes. She was not simple. Are you Su? He asked in a deep voice. He quickly reacted to what Hong Ai said, and a strange color flashed across his eyes. The mysterious Su turned out to be a young girl. Kuroiwa's face was stiff and his eyes widened. The girl at this age who looked like she could be their daughter turned out to be the one they had been looking for. Nice to meet you. Yunsu glanced at the three of them with a smile. She admitted it. She is Su. Black Rock took a few deep breaths to calm down, but the still didn't move like a wooden stake. Suinwoo, he quickly reacted and introduced himself with a serious face. Black Rock. Seeing that Titmouse was still in a trance, Heiyan walked over. Titmouse immediately woke up and stammered, Shan, Timochiao. Yunsu gave a playful smile and said, it's really interesting for you to have these names. Wu Ying touched his nose. When the alliance was first established, they were all still young. Each one was in the middle of the class. The codenames were obtained in various ways. But after so many years, they have become accustomed to calling them names. They don't even know what their real names are. For example, it was only when I came here that I found out what Hong Yi's real name was. What is Kinji? Yunsu obviously heard the conversation between the few people just now. He is the boss of the alliance, Hong Ai explained. There are 7 people in the alliance, and besides the 5 of us, the other 2 are Kinji and Banhua. These are all information that can be found by the outside world, so it won't be a big deal to tell Yunsu. Yunsu thought about it for a moment and asked, 6 people, so the code name of Wu Ying before was 09. Wu Ying, I just simply like the number 9. So the 3 of you are looking for me just to ask me to join you. Yunsu tapped her slender fingers on the table. What's the reason? Why should I join you? Suinwoo nodded. Yes, our alliance will provide you with the most generous benefits, and the alliance will protect you no matter what. Is there any price to pay? There is no free lunch in the world, and Yunsu understands this very well. Hong Ai frowned and looked sideways. Did she ask that? You just need to complete some tasks occasionally, of course. We will not force you. You will take on tasks according to your own ideas, and you will be paid very generously. It sounds good, Yunsu said, thinking. Heiyan looked sincere and said, there is nothing wrong with joining us. Facing a beautiful little girl, he couldn't be fierce anymore, and he no longer had the aura of slapping the table just now. Wu Ying covered his face. At first, he said that Hong Ai was deceived by a pyramid scheme. Now it seems that they are more like a pyramid scheme. That means I can ask you for help with anything, Yunsu said slowly. Suan Wu thought for a moment and realized that was true, of course. Hong Ai said nothing and looked out the window. Okay, he understood what Yunsu wanted to do. Some people had already been tricked. Wu Ying silently lowered his head and thought, why did he feel that the scene was so familiar? Sure enough, Yunsu said with a smile, okay, I'll join. Real. Tit and Heiyan were overjoyed. They didn't expect to complete the task assigned by Qinji so easily. Suan Wu frowned, as if there was something wrong, but he couldn't tell. Heiyan counted on his hands, Qinji is the boss, Hong Ai is the second, Suan Wu is the third, I am the fourth, Wu Ying is the fifth, Tit is the sixth, Banhua is the seventh, then from today on, you will be Zioba. His tone was excited, and his eyes looking at Yunsu became more and more gentle. Okay, fourth brother, Yunsu responded quickly. Hey, Heiyan replied happily. Sixth brother. Titmouse blushed and nodded slightly. Wu Ying and Hong Ai looked at each other. These two fools didn't know what they were about to face. Then, brother Yunsu turned to Suan Wu, I have something to do here. I wonder if my brothers can help me. What are you talking about? We will definitely help. Before Suan Wu could speak, Heiyan slapped his chest and assured. Chickadee also nodded. Suan Wu, you said. That's right, there are some problems in my company that I need your help with. Do you think so? Yunsu said, looking at the faces of several people. What is the problem? Yunsu looked at the sky and saw that it was still early. How about, let's go back to the company to chat. The three people in Suan Wu looked at each other and said, okay. It happened that they also wanted to know what Hong Ai and Wu Ying were doing here. Yunsu happily walked ahead to lead the way. Hong Yi and Wu Ying's Zui were at the end, looking at the simple backs of the three of them with sympathy. Once you enter the clouds, the journey is as deep as the sea. End of this chapter. After Rebirth, boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, beautiful. Chapter 227. Chapter 227 in the laboratory. Come, welcome, welcome. Yunsu walked into the technical department with a warm smile on his face and led several people. Bai Lankai and the others looked at each other. What is Sister Yun doing? I've never seen her so happy. This is your company. Heiyan looked around. It doesn't look like anything special. Suan Wu looked around without leaving a trace, looking at the character modeling on a computer screen, and hesitantly said, what are you doing here, a game? Yunsu smiled and gave a thumbs up. Third brother is really smart. Suan Wu looked at her deeply and directly penetrated her mind. You just want us to stay and help you do this. Bingo. Yunsu snapped his fingers and looked at the three hesitant people. Brothers won't refuse, right? Doesn't it mean that everyone will face difficulties when joining the alliance? Baya shivered, looked at Lan Chi, and whispered, has master been taken away? Yun Hofan looked at Yunsu's appearance and thought to himself, is this the tea smell in the tea that Xiao said? Wu Ying was holding Heiyan's sleeve beside him and whispered, hurry up and agree. He was very sure that as long as they knew the inside story of Yunchinj, several people would stay. Yunsu smiled like a fox, don't worry, fourth brother, I won't treat you badly. With everyone looking at them, the three of them felt a little uncomfortable. Over the years, few people knew the true faces of the 7 people in their alliance, and accepting tasks did not require face-to-face contact with each other. Over time, they became a bit out of touch with normal social groups. Josei looked confused, it sounds familiar to me too. He never thought in his life that he could become colleagues with people from the Hacker Alliance. which was always elusive and powerful. It was all too fantasy. Hacker Alliance, Baya muttered and repeated, the hand holding the mouse trembling violently. Black, Hacker Alliance, he shouted out loud. Suan Wua, Heiyan, Tit, plus Wuing, and Hong Ai, what kind of virtue and ability do we, Yunchinj, have to invite the 5 members of the Hacker Alliance? At some point, Sulin had appeared at the entrance of the technical department. Heiyan nodded, but didn't take it seriously. He just treated it as a favor and didn't expect much in return. After all, the rewards for tasks in their alliance started at 7 figures, and no one was short of money. Black Rock was still hesitating, but the most taciturn had already said first, I agree. Yunsu turned his attention to Suan Wua, who had not expressed his stance. Suan Wua was silent for a long time, and finally nodded in agreement. Come on, let's get to know each other. These 3 are new colleagues, Yunsu introduced with a happy face. Jose Iu squinted his eyes and looked at the 3 of them. They looked ordinary, but he knew that these 3 people must not be simple, because the last time Wu Ying came, Sister Yun had the same expression as she does now. Black Rock. That's great, Yunsu was overjoyed. Suan Wua. With the first person to agree, Heiyan no longer hesitated and said readily, okay, I will help you with this. What did they just say? Baya looked confused. Brother Chi, why do I think these names are so familiar? The 3 of them introduced themselves one after another. Since everyone here knew the identity of Wu Ying and Hong Ai, there was no need for them to hide it. Among them, Titmouse's condition was the most serious. His face turned red and he finally managed to choke out his name, I am Titmouse. Okay, we'll all stay. Awesome, Jose Iu turned his head stupidly and looked out the window. It was good, the wind was sunny and he was not dreaming. This situation is commonly known as social terror. Suan Wua looked at Sulin, who is this? Let me introduce you, Sulin. Suan Wua was slightly startled. He knew this name, but why did someone from the Junhee group appear here? Nice to meet you. Suan Wua sighed in his heart. Since they agreed, they would definitely fulfill their promise. He stretched out his hand and shook Sulin's hand in a friendly way. Sulin quietly gave Yunsu an appreciative look. She really did belong to her. There were only 7 people in the Hacker Alliance, and she abducted 5 of them. Let's go, let me show you around our Yunchinj. Sulin gave Yunsu a look, and she nodded in understanding. Go, Yunsu waved his hand. It was hard to reject the warm hospitality, so Suan Wua and the other 3 had no choice but to follow. Wu Ying smiled strangely on the side. They didn't know what they were about to face. Hong Ai frowned and looked at him, are you very idle? Why don't you do something quickly? Wu Ying immediately straightened up, put away his smile, and devoted himself to the unfinished work. Come on, let's go this way. The people I just introduced to you are all colleagues from our technical department, and you are also from that department. The 3 Suan Wua people all showed their talents in computers when they were young, and have been studying them ever since, so they have never done normal office work. Visiting the company now is a strange experience for them. This is the administration department, feel free to take a look. Further forward, there is the marketing department. Sulin introduced them as he walked. The 3 of them looked at each other casually, and their originally casual mood became inexplicably more serious. What kind of games do you make? Suan Wua asked. The game market is basically monopolized now. Why do you think your products can conquer the market and make customers pay? He doesn't think that any game can make people pay for it. Hong Ai and Wu Ying have been obsessed with staying here for so long. You will know this soon. Sulin smiled mysteriously. What exactly is being sold in this gourd? The 3 of them followed him in confusion. Sulin led the 3 of them to a closed door. The door was silver in color and seemed to be made of extremely hard material, which was incompatible with the surrounding decoration. Sulin, only people from the technical department can enter through this door in the entire company. Now you are also members of the technical department. I will enter the information for you later. Sulin's face was facing the door. Iris authentication successful. Fingerprint verification successful. A mechanical female voice sounded. Suinwu's pupils shrank. What on earth is in this door? Do you need two-factor authentication of iris and fingerprint? Blackrock and Titmouse's expressions were also stunned for a moment, realizing that the things inside were not simple. For some unknown reason, the three people's hearts beat rapidly, as if something beyond their knowledge was about to happen. The silver door opened, Sulin smiled and made a gesture to come in. Welcome to the world's first holographic game laboratory. His voice was low and bewitching. The three of them stopped together. Heian picked his ears and made an incredible sound. What did you say? You heard it right, holographic game laboratory. Sulin smiled, as if he had known they would react like this. The opened its mouth blankly and made no sound. Suinwu, who had always been calm and collected, had his hands hanging on his legs, shaking a little. He closed his eyes and then opened them, taking steps forward and walked in. Sulin remained silent and let them look around to calm down. The pure white laboratory looks clean and solemn. The laboratory is large, but there are very few things in it, including a few experimental equipment and several helmets of different colors. But all of this is no match for the flight cabin placed in the middle of the laboratory. The streamlined cabin is completely black and glows with a thin light, attracting all the attention of the three people. Heian's eyes were straightened and he stared blankly. Is this a holographic game warehouse? That's right, Sulin responded. It turned out to be a holographic game warehouse. How could it be? How is it possible? How did you do it? Heian was almost incoherent, his voice was trembling, and his whole person was trapped in incredible emotions. Suinwu stepped forward and put his hand lightly on it. The cold and hard touch gave people a sense of reality. He tried his best to calmly say, have you succeeded in the experiment? Sulin opened and closed his mouth and gave him the answer, the experiment was successful. No wonder Hong Ai and Wu Ying are unwilling to leave, no wonder they want the three of them to stay, so that's it? Holo game, a few more words that make people crazy. Is this real? Titmouse walked to the other side, picked up the helmet, and murmured. You can experience it, we are almost done now. Sulin made an offer they couldn't refuse. The three of them put on their helmets and entered the dreamy and colorful interstellar universe, the vast Milky Way, the twinkling stars of various colors, the neon-lit technological cities, and the vastness of the forest and desert. When they were in these scenes, everything they heard and felt was extremely real. An hour later, the three of them took off their helmets, their faces abnormally flushed, as if they were still immersed in the game world and unable to extricate themselves. Sulin was not surprised by the reactions of several people. How is it, do you think joining us is the right decision now? He is a good person, so he naturally noticed that the three people who just came to Yunchinj were not in a high mood, so he proposed to take them to see the place. Kuroiwa covered his chest with his hands and breathed quickly, it's not only correct, it's just a blessing. Suinwu nodded. If there was still a hint of reluctance in agreeing to Yunsu's stay just now, then now they are glad that they agreed, otherwise they would regret it for the rest of their lives. We will do a good job. Suinwu's eyes were firm and he had made up his mind. Blackrock and Titmouse also nodded, they couldn't wait to get to work right away. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Sulin once again lamented the magic of holographic games in his heart. No one can escape its temptation. Soon, Kinji, who was in a foreign country, received news from the Suinwu trio. Su has agreed to join the alliance. Qianji was overjoyed when he received the message. Just as he was about to reply, another message came in. By the way, we decided to stay in Lanchinj. If there is something urgent, please contact us again. Don't think about it. Chance. Kyunji's eyes slowly widened. He was so angry that his teeth itched. Is Lanchinja a poisonous place? Otherwise, why would the people in their alliance stay there one after another as if they were bewitched? How come it's like the Calabash baby saving Grandpa, sending them one after another? He knew that they were all bewitched by Su. End of this chapter. After Rebirth, Boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, beautiful. Chapter 228. Chapter 228. The college entrance examination is coming. March, the south wind warms the windows, and everything sings in unison. The weather was getting warmer day by day, and Yunsu devoted himself wholeheartedly to Yunchinj. With the help of the Suanwu trio, he became even more powerful. Yunsu was focused on nothing and led everyone in Yunchinj to make continuous experiments and adjustments day after day. Unknowingly, the college entrance examination was approaching. Come on, Susu, drink more of this fish soup. This is fresh fish that your dad went to the market to buy early in the morning. It tastes fresh. As Qinglian spoke, she filled a large bowl of fish soup for Yunsu. She looked bitter and her mouth secreted saliva uncontrollably. Don't get me wrong, she wasn't greedy, she just drank too much. I really can't drink anymore. Since a week or two ago, Yoon Daejin has closed the shop before meals and stopped operating. He goes home and cooks for Yunsu in different ways every day. There is no shortage of nutrition and variety. There are countless tonic soups. Yunsu feels that with his current physique, he can kill a cow with one punch. Ching, Aunt Ching, can I drink it later? Yunsu carefully discussed with her. No, Ching refused with a straight face. It was rare for her to keep a straight face. This is a task your dad gave you before going out. You must finish it. She said earnestly, you are about to take the college entrance examination. You have to go to school every day and go to the company. It takes a lot of brain power. You must keep up with nutrition. But she is almost overnourished. Yunsu swore that she had gained at least 5 pounds during this period. Pen, 2B pencil, ruler, eraser, admission ticket, ID card, okay, everything is here. Yoon Daejin counted the things he needed to bring, for fear of missing anything. Drink less milk today, otherwise you will want to go to the toilet during the exam. Qing Lian had already taken care of Qing Yu, who had passed the college entrance examination. Qing Lian was very experienced in this, and she said to Yunsu seriously. The afterglow of the setting sun filtered through the window lattice, casting a dim silhouette on the brown wooden desk. At this moment, the whole room was quiet, except for the sound of the head teacher's speech. It's the last class, and I won't mention any knowledge points or real questions anymore. Those things have been taught too much in the past 3 years. Tomorrow, you will go into battle wearing armor, using pens as swords, on a battlefield where no blood can be seen. 3 years of hard work will be finally tested in these 2 days. The final result is not very important. What is important is that you can go all out and leave no regrets. Yunsu finished breakfast in less than 10 minutes. The next day, the college entrance examination officially kicked off. Except for Yunting, who has to go to school, the rest of the Yun family are preparing to go out to accompany the exam. Qing Yu has returned from school. Although Yunsu repeatedly refused and did not want her family to be busy with this, her opinions were ruthlessly suppressed by Yoon Daejin. Let's go. He Kang's voice was full of emotion. I used to say that you are the worst class I have ever taught. In fact, in my heart, my students are the best. I believe that you will all make me a pride. June 6th, the eve of the college entrance examination. Early in the morning, a sumptuous breakfast was served on the table. Yoon Daejin has already packed his things and is waiting. Yunsu sat down and began to eat breakfast slowly. Finally, I hope everyone can maintain a good attitude and face the battle. I wish everyone a gold medal. Under the stage, the eyes of the sensitive classmates had already turned red, and the past complaints about teachers being too harsh had disappeared. Only then did they truly feel the feeling of separation. The familiar faces around them would gradually become strangers, and eventually become a memory in each other's lives. Okay, Yunsu accepted it completely, and now she had no right to refuse at all. Hiccup, she couldn't help but burp. For the first time, she sincerely hoped that the college entrance examination would come soon. After 3 seconds of eye contact with Qing Lian, Yunsu was defeated and picked up the bowl with resignation. Susu, eat quickly. Yoon Daejin looked at her eagerly. The cicadas are chirping tirelessly in June, but this kind of summer may never happen again in this life. Good. Yoon Daejin drove, and his family of 4 set off to the examination room. Yunsu was taking the exam at Boya Middle School. Qingyu and Qing Lian specially wore cheongsam today, as it was a good sign of victory. When they arrived at the entrance of the examination room, many parents sending their students off also wore cheongsam. Obviously, everyone had the same idea, and so did the cheongsams of various styles and colors. A beautiful scenery outside the campus. Reporters had long ago heard that Yunsu was taking the liberal arts exam. They squatted at the school gate early in the morning and Yunsu saw it at a glance. "Dad, there are so many reporters outside, please don't get out of the car." Yoon Daejin looked at the group of reporters looking around and frowned. How could these people penetrate everywhere? Okay, you go straight in and take the exam well. Yunsu, yeah. Come on, Qing Lian said with a smile on her face. King Yu, Susu is the best. Wait for my good news. Yunsu gave a few people a reassuring look and got out of the car. Seeing Yunsu get out of the car, reporters who had been stationed swarmed around her. The microphone was handed to her one after another, and a series of questions were asked. Excuse me, classmate Yunsu, are you nervous about the college entrance examination today? What is the reason why you refuse to be recommended to take the college entrance examination? Will you accept admission invitations from Harvard University and other world-famous universities? Have you made any new progress in the field of mathematics after winning the Fields Medal? What are your thoughts on the major you want to study in college? Yunsu pushed through the crowd and walked inside, answering everyone's questions one by one as he walked. Not nervous? Like exams? Won't? No. None at the moment. After answering but not revealing any information, the reporters looked at each other in confusion and reluctantly wanted to continue asking. Yunsu had already passed through the crowd and entered the school. They wanted to go forward when they were stopped by Boya's security guard with an unkind expression. Everyone had no choice but to give up and continue to squat at the door, ready to wait for Yunsu to come out. Who is that girl? So many reporters are interviewing her, some parents who sent their students to school said in shock. Coming to take the college entrance examination was like attending a press conference. The parent next to her gave her a strange look. Don't you have access to the internet at home? You don't even know about her. She said blankly, is she some kind of star? I should know the girl is indeed beautiful, but not everyone knows about stars, right? Celebrity? It doesn't matter, but maybe it's a literary star. The parent who gave her popular science size, that is the winner of the world's most authoritative mathematics award. She is a person who is competed by the world's top schools. She is even directly invited to teach her. They all refused. The little girl who is known as the Light of Lanchange is so powerful. Is this, so powerful? She looked shocked, as if she had been opened up to a new world, with a terrifying expression. You go back and ask your child, you will definitely know her. The parent looked envious. I don't know how her parents taught her. She can do everything, but you can't ask for a genius brain. God knows how excited he was when he saw Yunsu. If he didn't want to affect his child's exam, he would have wanted to go up to her and ask her to get the study scripture, so that his unmotivated children could study hard. Not just the parents of the students. As soon as Yunsu entered Boya, Many students recognized her and stared wide-eyed. They were so lucky to be taking exams at the same school as Yunshin. I wonder if taking the exam in the same place as Yunshin and breathing the same air will bring me luck. There were even many students facing her, clasping their hands together and bowing slightly to her from an angle that Yunsu could not see. Yunshin bless you. Let her get good grades in the exam. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After Rebirth, boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, beautiful. Chapter 229. Chapter 229, Sleep Well. Classmate Yun, long time no see. As soon as Yunsu entered the examination room, she heard a voice. She followed the sound and looked over. It was Teacher Wang from Boya whom she had met before. Hello, Teacher Wang. Teacher Wang said with a smile, take the test well and try to get the number 1 scholar back to Lanchinj. As Yunsu gets further and further away, Teacher Wang can no longer think of comparing her with his students. When a person is strong enough, people will naturally look up to her. Yunsu touched her nose and said, I'll try my best. Go. Teacher Wang nodded with satisfaction. Although there are several key prestigious schools in Lanchinj, the top number 1 seed players are only a few, scattered throughout the province, and each has always competed for the final crown based on their ability. Before Yunsu skipped a grade, their most popular number 1 seed player was a student from a key high school in the next city, named Ningji, who had been undefeated in previous citywide unified examinations. After Yunsu skipped a grade, all the top students in their class were eclipsed. Many people compared the two of them. Although many people firmly sided with Yunsu, some people thought that Yunsu had wasted in other aspects. Too much energy may not necessarily lead to good results. Moreover, Yunsu missed the city's unified examination before, which made some people not optimistic about her. Everything is unknown and everything is worth looking forward to. The three of them were sitting under a big tree outside the school with their pre-prepared ponytails. The reason why they did not go elsewhere to wait was so that Yunsu could see them as soon as he came out. It's out, the journalists who were sweating profusely at the door shouted. In an instant, the haggard people came to life. They raised their guns and cannons at a speed that even snipers would admire. Of course I believe in Susu, but that's what I said, but it's the college entrance examination after all. In Yoon Daejin's mind, the college entrance examination is a sacred and supreme matter. The honors Yoon Soo has received are too great. It had to make Yoon Daejin feel unreal. Only the college entrance examination gave him a down-to-earth sense of reality. When Ching saw the situation, he stopped trying to persuade him. Yoon-soo inexplicably felt a resentful gaze behind her. She felt a chill and quickened her pace to go out. I'm worried. Yoon Daejin couldn't calm down at all and looked into the school from time to time. Yoon-soo stretched her waist, stretched her stiff shoulders and neck, and finished answering the questions early. She couldn't hand in the papers in advance for the college entrance examination. After sleeping on her stomach for several times, the 2.5 hours of exam time finally passed. The horn with the sound of electricity sizzles from time to time. The exam has begun, and the candidates begin to answer questions. Looking past all the gazes, Yoon-soo sat down. The parents who were also waiting next to them heard their conversation and shook their heads secretly. Where did these parents come from? That's not the case with confidence, right? Old Yoon, can you please stop spinning, it's making me dizzy. Ching Lian had a headache and stopped Yoon Daejin, who was pacing back and forth. The weather was already hot, and his spinning around made her dizzy even more. At 11:30 in the morning, the clear bell rang, and the first Chinese language test was over. The serious-looking invigilator immediately said, please stop writing and hand in the paper immediately, otherwise it will be treated as a violation of discipline and fraud. The examinee sitting behind Yunsu was about to burst into tears. Who can feel his feelings when he saw Yunshen lying down and sleeping less than an hour after the exam started? It's really difficult for him. Woo woo woo. Uncle, don't worry. With Susu's grades, you can get into walking with your eyes closed. You also said to come and take a rest. In such a hot weather, be careful of heat stroke. Xingyu was not worried at all. She uncle still knew nothing about Susu's current achievements and strength. Even if Susu failed the college entrance examination, there were many top schools begging her to go to school. Traffic control was implemented around the exam school, and the sound of vehicle horns disappeared. Even the parents waiting outside the school lowered their voices for fear of disturbing the students. Soon, the only sounds in the examination room were the rustle of writing and the sound of flipping through test papers. The huge campus, which accommodated thousands of candidates, was extremely quiet. The examinee who originally wanted to make some corrections was instantly frightened and reluctantly stopped writing, regretting why he had not been faster and more careful. The invigilator carefully counted and distributed the test papers, and everyone had no intention of thinking about anything else and braced themselves for the exam. The sun is shining brightly outside the window, the wind is blowing, the green leaves are rustling, and the air conditioner in the classroom is cooling. In this charming summer atmosphere, the young people pick up their pens and prepare to write a new chapter in their lives. The invigilator glanced at Yunsu without leaving any trace, and sighed in his heart that she was the only one who could sleep in the college entrance examination room without any burden. As usual, reporters will interview the first candidate who leaves the examination room, and the reporter will see the reporter holding the microphone in front of the candidate. Classmate, how do you feel about the exam this morning? Is this year's Chinese language test paper difficult? What is the essay topic? How do you think you performed? Do you have any predictions? Faced with a series of questions, the first student's eyes were empty, as if everything had been emptied out, and the words he spoke seemed to be outside the world. Overall, it's pretty good. The temperature of the examination room is good, the environment is clean, the test papers are printed clearly, the invigilator has a very good service attitude, and the experience is very good. I will come again next time. Reporter. What is this mess? The reporter has a very good professional quality and continues to ask, are there any questions on the test paper that impressed you? For example, composition. The reading and composition of Chinese language for the college entrance examination every year is a hot topic among everyone. Especially students who have already passed the college entrance examination pay a ridiculous amount of attention to this. After all, every generation of candidates comes out, and a new generation replaces the old one. This kind of weird schadenfreude. Everyone has psychology. I don't remember the candidate was already blank, I only remember, someone slept so soundly. His tone was full of envy, admiration, and various complex emotions. Reporter. Sleep well? Who is sleeping in the examination room? Isn't this too ambitious? The parents who were watching immediately became commotion and disgust. If their child dares to sleep at this time, let's see if they don't hang him up and beat him. There is no valuable news yet. The reporter felt that he had encountered an interview bottleneck and was about to change the interview to another person. As he was looking around, he saw Yunsu's figure with sharp eyes. Classmate Yunsu. The sound of surprise instantly attracted everyone's attention. In the public, Yunsu had no choice but to pretend that she didn't hear, so she had to stop, sighed, and said, "Why don't you consider going to the army?" The reporter was confused. Huh? The scouts are not as observant as you. She tried her best to reduce her presence, but she was still seen. The crowd of onlookers burst into laughter, and some people recognized who she was and exclaimed in a low voice. The reporter was very proud. Well, how can you be a reporter if you don't have any skills? Let me tell you, at the beginning that's not right. He was about to tell his glorious deeds and suddenly stopped and realized, I am interviewing you. Why did she almost interview him? Yunsu accepted his fate and said, ask. The reporter immediately cheered up. Yunsu was not the interviewee just now. He had to take it seriously. How do you think you performed today? It's okay, Yunsu said casually. She has never been a person who speaks loudly. Are you confident that our province S will be the top pick this year? The reporter's eyes were glaring, and the camera was recording her reaction. Yunsu Murin, has anyone interviewed you like this? How to directly ask the provincial champion. How did she answer this? Generally confident. What does it mean to generally believe? The reporter continued to ask, how sure are you? 50%. The reporter is choked. Can you give a good answer? Why don't today's interviewees follow the routine? Every onlooker laughed out loud again. This girl is really interesting. Many people were also asking in a low voice who Yunsu was. How come all these reporters knew her? Immediately some enthusiastic parents started educating them about the matter. 10 seconds later, they were already looking at Yunsu with a new look, with awe and respect in their eyes. The reporter was struggling desperately, but still refused to give up. Then how did you feel during the exam? You can say things like nervousness, relaxation, etc. The reporter looked at her expectantly. Yunsu thought for a moment and said hesitantly, does it count because I slept soundly? Have a good sleep? The reporter instantly recalled the candidate he had just interviewed. I just remember someone sleeping so soundly. Hauntingly, he is talking about Yunsu. Everyone was shaking with laughter when they heard this messy conversation. What is this? However, those parents who just wanted to hang their children up and beat them while sleeping silently corrected in their hearts, if it is a child like Yunsu, what's wrong with sleeping? She can sleep however she wants. The reporter was finally speechless, and Yunsu took the opportunity to slip away. End of this chapter. After Rebirth, boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, beautiful. Chapter 230. Chapter 230, don't be anxious for a while. Chapter 230. Dad, Aunt Ching, Xiao Yunsu looked around before noticing a few people at home. Yun Daijin stood up quickly. Susu is out? Are you tired? Come and drink some water. He took out the thermos cup he was carrying. The thermos cup was filled with mung bean soup that Yun Daijin had cooked early in the morning and let it cool down. After Yunsu took a few mouthfuls, it was ice cold and made her whole body feel refreshed. Slow down, be careful of choking, Qingyu said hurriedly. Are you hungry? If so, let's go eat quickly. Qingyu, let's go. Several people refused to ask how Yunsu was doing in the exam. It was a foregone conclusion that she had passed the exam. Asking her again would only increase her burden. Although, Qingyu felt that there was no such thing as Yunsu being burdened with the exam. Yun Daijin had already booked restaurants and hotels near the exam, so that Yunsu could go to the hotel to rest for a while after eating, so that he could be energetic enough to face the afternoon exam. Come, eat this fish, it's fresh. The appearance of the first candidate is my state after every exam. The students who were hit by Susu were really miserable, ha 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 ha. Yunsu finished the entire test paper in less than 20 minutes during the math test from 3 to 5 in the afternoon, which amazed the invigilator. However, this time she had enough sleep at noon and did not sleep on her stomach again. This is not necessarily true, although she is very good at mathematics. What about the 7 subjects of the college entrance examination? And it is said that she has very little time in school. No matter how talented she is, she will slack off, right? Other top seed players are still competitive. Dash ha 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 ha. Why is it that every time this sister makes some shady news, I really laugh? Another reason is that she saw the news on the internet at noon, and Lian Yu specially sent it to her to laugh at her. I can only say that you have no idea about the meaning of the title of Fields medalist. The video of the reporter's interview at noon has long been posted online. Everyone was originally paying attention to the college entrance examination, and they were even more concerned when they saw the news about Yoon-soo. Is the person upstairs still worried about her? No, no, no. Some people really think that if they don't do well in the Yoon-soo college entrance examination, they won't go to university, right? Do you believe that even if she turns in a blank, there are countless schools begging her to go? Reporter: I really blocked Q, I really convinced you, you idiot. After dinner, I went to the hotel to rest for a while. Yoon-soo woke up after a good sleep, and she felt much better. Yoon Daejin and Ching Lian kept picking up food for Yoon-soo, but Yoon-soo couldn't eat it anymore. It was because she said she was afraid that she would feel upset in the afternoon after eating too much that Yoon Daejin and Ching Lian gave up. The comment area that Yoon-soo clicked in lived up to expectations and was full of ha 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 sounds. She can even sleep during the college entrance examination. Should she be said to be big-hearted or really confident? There are also these spare ribs, they fall off the bone as soon as you bite them, they are so glutinous. Really? Awesome. What's the point of asking her to go to school? Many schools directly asked her to become a professor. Isn't it true that the top scorer in science in the college entrance examination in S province has been determined this time? Yeah? I rubbed my hands together excitedly, although I didn't understand what a person with a score of over 400 in the college entrance examination, was expecting. The fight between gods is worth looking forward to, ha ha ha. There were a lot of discussions on the internet. Yoon-soo looked at it a few times and then stopped looking at it. For now, it is better to finish the exam first. Soon, the 2-day college entrance examination came to an end with the last reminder from the invigilator to hand in papers. Yoon-soo put down her pen and felt that something had settled down in her heart. She looked out the window and saw that the large orange-red sunset had dyed the sky red, like rouge on a girl's face. She suddenly smiled and walked out of the examination room. It's the last test, the exam is finally over. Yoon Daejin stood at the school gate and looked around, with an expression of relief on his face, and Ching Yu had the same expression. King Yu stood aside, she wanted to laugh a little. The people who might have had the most difficult time in this exam were her mother and Uncle Yoon. Come out! Yoon Daejin saw Yoon-soo coming out from a distance and shouted in surprise. Dad, Aunt Ching, didn't I tell you not to wait here? It's such a hot weather, what should I do if I get a heat stroke? Yoon-soo was helpless. No matter how she tried to persuade her, the others had stayed outside the school for the past 2 days and never left. We are not hot, Yoon Daejin smiled naively. Let's go back. Yoon-soo was afraid that her father would fall down after taking the test, so she hurriedly greeted her and went home. Okay. The family is getting ready to go home. On the other side of the school gate, shaded by greenery, stood 2 men in black, holding a black umbrella to shield the eyes of passers-by. Under the umbrella, there is a man's perfect face, as handsome as a masterpiece carefully carved by God. His thin lips are slightly pursed, showing no emotion. He is holding a bouquet of sunflowers in full bloom, which contradicts the temperament around him. And harmonious. Fifth Master, why don't we go there? Chin-ju asked in a low voice. The fifth master put aside many things and rushed to Lanchinj just to see Miss Yoon when she left the examination room. Why didn't he come forward at this time? Chin-jiao looked at Yoon-soo's family leaving and thought of what Yoon-soo said before, that Yoon Daejin asked her to fall in love only after graduating from college. She felt deeply that if he dared to go forward and send flowers now, blood might be spilled on the spot. It was because he didn't think carefully and he hurried over like a young boy. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but feel a little funny. It's okay, don't be in a hurry right now, he seemed to be answering Chin-ju's words and also seemed to be saying to himself. Yoon-soo, who had walked away, looked back as if she was feeling something, but found nothing. She frowned in confusion and didn't think much about it. Yoon-soo, who had not had time to rest after returning home, received news from the class and sent the address of the class breakup meal. Although she had not gotten along with her classmates for long, she thought of the kindness everyone exuded towards her. She should go there. Thinking of this, Yoon-soo said hello and went out. When he arrived at the hotel he had booked, Yoon-soo looked at the two people standing at the door and frowned. "Why are you here?" Two young men, one dressed in black and one in white, were looking around. They were Lian Yu and Qin Chang. Seeing Yoon-soo appear, Lian Yu's eyes lit up and he ran over immediately. "Sister Yoon, you are here. Come in quickly. Everyone has been waiting for you for a long time." "Wait for me? That's not the case, Jong-lun has asked me to come and see it several times." Yoon-soo was silent. Isn't Jong-lun the name of their class monitor? Why does he look so familiar? Whose class is this? Why are you two here to join in the fun? Qin Jiao explained, "I didn't want to come, he had to come." Lian Yu touched his nose and said, "Isn't this boring?" "It's okay, Sister Yoon. I know many people in your class, and we don't have any teachers. We just play together. Let's go." Yoon-soo raised her feet. The squad leader agreed. What else could she say? End of this chapter.